I guess the question is, what is your take on Black Lives Matters? They're protesting around the country and here in the Twin Cities. And there's been a lot of controversy about tactics used. So can you give some comments and thoughts about what you have seen with the Black Lives Matters movement?
Sure. First of all, let me just say that in the annals of history, whether they are black lives or white lives, black folk or white folk, for those of us who are students of history, we have to admit and acknowledge that well-behaved people rarely get anything done. That's, ever heard of the Boston Tea Party? Ever heard of the American Revolution? Ever heard of the Civil War? Well-behaved people rarely get anything done. So enough with this conversation about tactics. I'm over that. Because what these Black Lives Matters protesters are doing by raising their voices is trying to prick our consciences about what's happening to the lives of everyday people, happening to the lives of the most vulnerable of our citizens from California to the Carolinas. So enough of that conversation about tactics. What I believe is that we owe these protesters a debt of gratitude. Yes. We owe them a debt of gratitude. We owe them, they have been a gift. They have been a gift. But if the truth be told, the best of the black tradition, is reminding America that she does have a conscience. The best of the black tradition is black people being the conscience of this country. The best of the black tradition is holding America accountable. The best of the black tradition is being a patriot. And being a patriot means that you are that you're willing to rebuke your country when she's wrong. That's what being a patriot really means, that you love your country enough to tell her when she's wrong, to rebuke her when she's wrong, and to show her another way that she can be made better. So at the end of the day, I repeat, it's not so much about the tactics, because again, you have to get in the way. You really have to get in the way to be heard, to make a contribution, to make a difference. What's more important for me is that we start to pay attention, that we listen to the message. We get so caught up with methodology sometimes that we miss the message. And sometimes in our politics, we get so wed to ideology that we ignore good ideas. And I believe that they have some good ideas, and I believe that their message is something that each of us ought to pay more attention to.
You talked about education earlier, and a question: if you were superintendent of the Minneapolis schools,
God help us all.
How would you approach the education deficiencies that you've identified?
Yeah, I don't know enough about the crisis specifically here in Minneapolis. I know what I read. I know what the mayor and I discussed, and Brother Tim and I discussed. I know certain things. But I really don't have to know all the facts to answer the question in this regard. Malcolm X said that education is our passport to the future, because tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. If Malcolm was ever right about anything, he was right about that. Education is our passport to the future, because tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Malcolm was right about that, but what Malcolm didn't even know, and what some of us have yet to come to terms with, is that in this world, racism is so real, discrimination is still so prevalent, people are becoming so much more nativist, turning inside and blaming everybody else outside, because things have gotten so tight in this economy. And so now the truth of the matter is that even with an education, a high quality education, if you look a certain way, you got a certain last name, you sound a certain way on the phone during the phone interview, you still don't get the job. the data, it's not because I said it, the data, researchers have laid this out, that job discrimination is more rampant than ever before because things are so tight in this economy. People trying to hold on to what they have, that we are still discriminating against people who have an education. So if you're a black man with a Harvard degree, if you're a black woman with a Yale degree, if you're a black man, black woman with a University of Minnesota degree, you still are gonna have a much more difficult time getting a job than a white fellow citizen with that same degree. So before I answer this in greater detail, it's important to understand that even now, we must accept that education, I hate to say this, but it's the truth, that education isn't even the great equalizer that it once was. Now, having said that, without an education, you're twice defeated. Without education, you're twice defeated. Your race is one strike against you, your gender is another strike against you. Without education, you're twice defeated. So let me be clear that not getting an education is not the answer to the prayer. That's not the answer either. But I want to be clear about what happens these days, even when you have a high quality education. But to your question more expressly, it's what I said earlier tonight, and I don't need to expound on it anymore. If we believe that love means that everybody is worthy just because, I know the mayor believes that, because what she wants in this city, what I want,